Today's educators face a growing challenge. How do you make entrepreneurship more engaging for students? And traditional methods like case studies have been a cornerstone of business education for years. They can offer a peek at the real world to encourage discussion and challenge students to think critically about complex decisions. But with the current demand for more experiential learning, they may not be enough. Because of this, business simulations have stepped into the spotlight to offer strong learning outcomes. Now, how do these two educational tools compare? And more importantly, which is right for your classroom? This guide breaks down the strengths and limitations of case studies and how they compare to simulations so you can make the best informed decision for your students. As an example, a case study about a startup's funding dilemma might generate rich debate, but students won't know if their solution would actually work. I invite you to check out our previous guide if you want to learn about business simulations by clicking on the link in the description of this video or scanning the QR code. But in a nutshell, business simulations are educational tools that allow students to become the doers and take action. Instead of analyzing a founder's decisions, students become the founders themselves and make their own decisions by adjusting strategies, testing ideas, but more importantly, facing the consequences, whether they're good or bad, of your choices in real time. Educators use them because they promote active learning and decision making. They offer instant feedback within the simulation itself, and they help students practice real-world skills. In a simulation like Startup Wars, students launch a virtual startup, one of which can be a food truck, for example, in which students manage marketing, pricing, hiring, stocking up on ingredients, and even event management, just like the real founders would. So let's take a look at a quick comparison between these two educational tools. In case studies, format is usually a written narrative, while in simulations, it is more of an interactive experience. The student takes the role of an analyst or observer in a case study, whereas in a simulation, they're usually the founders and decision makers. So, in terms of execution, a case study is more of a discussion or a debate, whereas a simulation is more of an experiential and active form of learning. In terms of outcomes, in case studies, typically we can expect proposed solutions, whereas in simulations, we can actually live the consequences, whether good or bad. Replayability is more of a one-time discussion with case studies, whereas with simulations, you can replay as many times as you want these strategies. When it comes to realism, case studies are more retrospective in nature, whereas simulations are more dynamic. And finally, regarding assessment, participation or written analysis is usually the go-to form of case studies, and in comparison, with simulations, it's more about the track decisions and outcomes. So when do we use case studies, or when do we use simulations? Well, both case studies and simulations hold real value in entrepreneurship education. Choosing when to use them depends not only on the topic you're teaching, but also on the skills you want your student to develop, and of course, the format of your class. Instead of viewing case studies and simulations as either or, consider them complementary tools in your classroom. And here's how to decide when to use them. Use case studies when you want to analyze ethical dilemmas or leadership decisions. Case studies are ideal for open-ended discussions where there isn't one clear right answer. This can involve conflict between founders, hiring dilemmas, culture shift, or public backlash. Students can then debate these topics like leadership ethics or crisis. On the other hand, you can use simulation when you want to teach decision-making under uncertainty. Simulation-based learning places students in time-sensitive scenarios where their stakes are high and where they must weigh pros and cons when making business decisions without all the answers beforehand, just like in real life. This approach mirrors the real experience of entrepreneurship more than case studies, making it one of the best teaching methods out there. As an example, in Startup Wars, students must decide how to invest in marketing campaigns, the best way to implement them, and the best part, is to actually implement them. You can also use simulations to get students to apply what they learned, but in a practical setting. For example, reinforcing classroom concepts to trial, error, and iteration. In startup boards, students must launch an MVP, and after launching it, they can improve upon it or develop new products, or do both by hiring employees. The possibilities are endless. So in short, case studies describe the challenges of entrepreneurship and simulations recreate them. While case studies remain a valuable educational tool, simulations are becoming increasingly popular to help close the gap between theory and practice, since they allow for engagement as it skyrockets when students actively learn, build, and adapt their own strategies. Retention. It improves a student learning through trial and error, and feedback, of course. And assessment. It becomes easier with trackable decisions, outcomes, and progress. In the 2019 Harvard study, students who participated in active learning scored significantly higher on tests than those who only attended traditional lectures. The funny part is they felt like they learned more through traditional methods, despite the opposite happening. As doers, students can look forward to more effective retention. Case studies and simulations aren't necessarily rivals, and in fact, they can complement each other in your teaching toolbox. Case studies can help students think critically about the past, and simulations can prepare them to act for the future. If your goal is to teach business or entrepreneurship, not just as concepts, but as engaging experiences, simulations can offer a powerful way to make that happen. So be sure to schedule a live demo with our instructional design team to get your complimentary instructor account and access the simulations and try them out yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next guide.